material, and what works
We'll
best
get it one
where.
of these times.
On that one, the blue, and on that one, there.
Yeah, try and stop the bounce back with the sound. We're gonna have a laser light show too?
Look at this. We got a rainbow on TV. Oh, good. Good, yeah.
Hey, Tom. Keith. I don't think Jen's going to be with us tonight. She just called me and said that she was ill. She wasn't feeling well. So I told her to stay home. I gave her the coordinates to come on Zoom, so she may be on for the Zoom meeting. We'll have to keep an eye as she pops up so we can put her on.
Michelle says she's gonna be running late. She's got another meeting.
Okay.
Probably about the time it's done.
Yeah.
Then get over about 10 or 11 o'clock.
I'm gonna say 7:30, might still be better.
One time, it's not like setting my alarm clock, because otherwise,
I've been following your communications with the attorneys to try to solve that. Man, I'll tell you, that ended up being more complicated than I thought it was going to be.
I think Rick is making it a little more complicated.
Okay.
I mean, he's a pretty precise guy.
Yeah.
Here's an extra one, as
But
long as it doesn't have anything that you didn't already send.
No, everything's identical. I just wanted to make sure everybody had a copy tonight, that's all.
Okay.
I agree with Bruce Reed, those new deeds they've done.
Oh, my God.
It's just awful. It's gonna keep people like me busy a long time. It's gonna create so many problems.
So how long were you guys without power down here yesterday?
Probably most of the morning, probably 6, 7 hours when the power went off to when it came back on. So the generator worked just fine. I mean, the building was comfortable and everything was working. But because the trees came down and took not only power lines, but also the cable lines, we didn't have any internet or phone service. So, which is so important for us to.
Yeah.
I think I hit start, didn't I? What's that? Oh, yeah. It was running when I got here in the morning. So I knew everything was fine. And when I went out, I was curious to see how much fuel it would use in that period of time, but used less than a quarter of a tank.
Yeah.
Pretty.
I think around 2 a.m.
Okay.
thereabouts. And then came back home, I think it was 10:30 or something.
Yeah, that's probably all right.
The tree come down on the road.
Yeah, they had one right up.
Just before
almost.
Campground Road.
Yeah, nice big vine lay right across the road. Onto White.
There's Jed.
And then on Mountain Road, a smaller pine laid across on the wires there. Hey, Jen, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you.
Now, who are we missing? We're missing Michelle and Simone.
Michelle's gonna be late.
And I'm not sure about Simone. It's unusual for her, but,
I've still got a few minutes. So.
okay. Well, I know he's isolated from Emily. Emily's symptoms are, all she has now, she can't smell or she can't taste. And they said those are conditions that will go away, but they're not contagious in any way. So she's planning on returning to work on Monday. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I've told everybody, like Jen, she's not feeling well tonight. I said, stay home. We don't need her here contaminating the rest of us. That's the fire chief, Jerry Bowling.
Does that window need to be up on the screen, or does that window need to be up on the screen?
That's so I can see who's walking in.
Okay, then I can't see shit. So.
You don't need to see on the screen, right? You know everybody here.
Did you say 1673?
Not sure?
Sound on that Zoom system is really good.
Good.
I can hear him very well.
I don't need a microphone.
The voice projected really good. When I can hear that over Zoom, you don't seem to get the reverberation. Sitting here.
All right, well, I got 7 o'clock. So I'm gonna call the meeting of the Budget Board and the Board of Selectmen for the Town of Arundel together. March 3rd, 2021. First item is approval of the agenda.
No, sir. No.
That's what I'm waiting for. A motion made and seconded then. approve as presented. So we'll move on to the approval of the minutes for February 17th, 2021. I don't think I saw anything on here.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to approve minutes as presented. All those in favor? All those opposed? Oh, abstain. Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll move on. We'll start off with 1901 recreation.
Yes, we'll start off with the Recreation Department. Jen can, she'll give a quick briefing as to what you see here, but initially when this budget was put together, we're anticipating to have a full-blown recreation department and recreation programs within the next budget cycle. So what we're presenting here is a program that includes all of our activities. Now, if things change, if COVID continues to be a hindrance to the programming that we're offering, we'll certainly go ahead and make adjustments prior to town meeting and let you know about that. But right now, our anticipation is to be open once again and having activities for everybody involved. I know that Jen and I spoke again today, and I have reached out to the superintendent requesting a status as to when the rec department can once again begin using the gymnasium, even on a very safety protocol basis, and also anticipating that we're going to be utilizing it during the summer recreation program. Found out today by speaking with Jen that they have the recreation directors and RSU 21 have a meeting set for next week, I believe, to begin discussing as to how that whole thing will evolve and move forward. So we're hopeful that we're going to move forward with the program.
Perhaps I can add to that. I had discussions with the school superintendent, and
Yeah, I'm not able to hear. I think it's Jack that's speaking.
Grab
But I
one of the
can't hear.
mics, Jack.
sorry, thank you. I've had discussions recently with the superintendent of schools, and they are planning on having summer school, probably for all grades, and either 2 or 3 weeks in 2 sessions. And so there may be some the need for utilization of the gym. I don't know, but at any rate, just want to make you all aware that summer school is very likely to be happening. The other point I would make too is that it will be prioritized in all likelihood to the kids that need it most. That will be the primary focus. I don't think anybody will be excluded, but that's the goal of the project. Thank you.
I missed the last part of that, Jack. You said, I heard the word excluded.
She missed the last part of that, Jack.
Yes, I did. I didn't understand the question. I'm sorry.
I missed the last part of what you said. I heard that they may need the gymnasium for summer school, and then after that, I did not hear.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the intent is to focus in summer school on the kids who need the most help, who've been
Yep.
identified during the course of the balance of the year here. And that I don't think anybody will be excluded, but that's the primary focus.
Jack, I have a question in regard to summer school. Has there been discussion about using other schools besides KES this year? In the past, all of the summer school programming has taken place out of KES.
I think it will expand well beyond that. I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Would be kind of sounded like they were gonna have some school, pretty much all the schools, that's what it sounds like.
K to 12.
Okay, thank you.
So Jen's here. She can answer any questions you have. I mean, obviously, she's more in tune as to what the programs and activities that she'll offering. So if you have any questions, she's more than capable of answering them.
I do have a question. So it looks like, last year we budgeted 318,706. Obviously, our expenses are a lot less this year. Looks like we're at 47,112. Do we expect any more expenses between now and by the time this budget passes?
Are you asking about through the end of June?
Yeah.
Yes, there will continue to be, as long as we're operating our full day program, before and after school programs, as long as we're operating those, the expenses are pretty much limited to salaries. Although, there are some minor expenses that go with those programs, buying paper towels and masks and, if there's a game or something we need. But essentially it's staffing costs.
Revenues, do you expect any more revenues?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. There's so much echo in the room.
Expect any more revenues? Revenues, do you expect any more revenues?
Any more revenues? We are bringing in revenue every month with program costs. So as you know, the hybrid school option has Group A and Group B. And we had the groups separated. We had the before and after school program taking place at Mildred Day, and we had the full day program taking place in the meeting room at Town Hall. And what we were finding in the meeting room is that the kids that are coming for the full day program really weren't coming in until 8 or 8:15. We might have one child that came in at 7 or 7:30, maybe 2, but for the most part, they were showing up between 8 and 8:15. And then on the other end of the day, they begin leaving around 2. And we just had, a handful of kids left at the end of the day. And we were losing money on the program because we were staffing in 2 different locations. So we combined the programs both to take place out of the meeting room. And there is very little, interaction between the 2 groups because of, the way the parents are picking up and dropping off. So February is the first full month that we were operating in that model. And this month we were able to break even and, come out a couple $1,000s ahead.
Is this on?
It's on.
It's on, okay. I'm this is my first time on the budget board, but I'm noticing that under other services, in 2020, it was 60,000. 2021, we budgeted 42, and we're back to 60. Can you tell me what other services what it includes?
Sure. All of the other services are program costs. So that 42,000 reflects, we were able to take summer rec out of that because when the budget went to town meeting last June, or actually not until July, we already knew we would not be operating summer rec. So in order to operate summer rec, we bumped that back up. The goal is to operate summer rec in 2021.
Is there any other questions for Jen at this point? Again, as we said, we'll continue to monitor what the school has in store. I'm hopeful that even during the summer school programs that they have, that the gymnasium ultimately will not be utilized. I think it's more of an educational piece as opposed to utilizing the gymnasium. So I'm hopeful that if that does occur, that both programs may simultaneously be in the building operating, and we'll just make it work. I guess I'm the optimist among the group, but I'm hoping and trying to stay positive that we're going to get back to a normal rotation for our activities in the rec department.
So if I can add to that a little bit, several years ago when Mildred Day was under construction, we had to operate out of KES. Our summer rec program took place out of that school, and that was the only location in the district at the time that was running summer school. So all of the elementary school students went there, as did the that was before pre-K, but they had the summer kindergarten program. Took place there as well. So there were a lot of kids in and out of the building during the day, and we were able to function very well, you know, in that situation. So I have no doubt that we would be able to make that work at Mildred Day if there's a summer school program going on at the same time. And I also, it may go without saying, but I would like the budget board and the board of selectmen to know that we have requested the use of the gym a couple of different times this winter, particularly when the high school and the middle school began to offer sports. We asked to be able to offer sports ourselves. And we offered details in terms of, you know, small groups and doing screening at the door. We were very detailed in our request about how we would do that in a way that would be safe. We were looking for winter basketball programming, and that request has been denied currently. We do plan to offer some spring sports programs outside as soon as the weather allows us to do that. So we are continuing to try to expand our programming, but we are limited by the space that we have available. And certainly COVID is the overall limiting factor, but you know, we are trying very hard to continue our programs to bring them back.
Thank you, Jen. While she's still here, and it's just another piece of this budget is the bus reserve account. Usually it stands alone as a capital reserve warrant article that we generally have. This year, we're proposing to move that from 6250 to 8850. And the reason being is that we entered into a 4-year agreement for a new bus, which we purchased. And this additional money will be needed to make our yearly payments, which are due on the 15th of June each year. And the payments are about $14,200. So with the capital reserve money that we have and the 8850 that we put in will make us make our next payment. And then next year, we'll have to have another adjustment in that in order to cover our costs. Yep. So that's where we are with that.
I would move to approve tentatively the recreation department budget for $378,406.
I'll second it.
All right, we've got a tentative approval and second for 378,405. All those in favor, or any further questions?
Yeah, I got a question.
Go ahead.
So Keith, next year, is that gonna bump up to like 14,000?
We're going to be close. It's going to be, I think it's going to be about 12,000 next year. And then it will go to the final payment, I think, the following year.
Okay, so still got a motion made and seconded. All those in favor? No opposition? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jen, keep up the work.
Appreciate the support. Thanks, guys.
We still want
You want to cover the,
the capital reserve?
yeah, why don't we cover the bus reserve for 8850 too? If you don't mind.
Move to tentatively approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, tentatively approved 8850 on 1903 Recreation Bus Reserve. Any further discussion on that matter?
It's contractual matter, so I don't know how we
Yeah.
can only.
Yeah, I know.
That's all right.
So all those in favor? All those opposed?
So, because we all just recognize Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle's on Zoom, so.
So we all recognize her.
I am. I raised my hand.
I saw that.
Thank you. Good
Thanks.
catch.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
We got everyone, including Michelle, to approve. All right. Move on to,
Next one is General Assistance Administration Budget. Primarily, the adjustment within this budget has to do with salary compensations, as I explained before. This particular adjustment went to 5% with the 7% longevity, and then the FICA, the retirement and the health insurance is coordinated as a result of that. Brings the final budget in at 94,682 that we're proposing. The welfare direct aid continues to stay about the same, about $12,000. And we've thought that we just leave it there again, so.
I would move to approve.
Oh, Theo's got a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Maybe you don't understand this well enough, but it looks like there's $94,000 of total, but the direct aid's only $12,000?
Yeah, the direct aid would be 12,000. We get reimbursed for that through the state. But the whole budget's 94,682. And the direct aid, if we say we have somebody who needs rental insurance or food or something like that, and they qualify, then they can submit an application. Once we approve that, we'll make the disbursement, and then at the end, the state will reimburse us 70% of that, which we include in our anticipated revenue portion of the budget, which we haven't discussed yet.
Okay,
So-
so this is only the unreimbursed part, is that correct?
Yeah, generally, that's how I would describe it.
Because it just looks funny, like we're spending, it would be $82,000 to administer $12,000.
Right. That would be an argument if that was all that the position did, but
Yeah,
it sort of falls here. And a great question, because it falls here, but she also takes care of E911 addressing for us, takes care of all the administrative duties for the Public Works Department, fills in for the office when and if needed, and she's also the secretary to the appeals board when they so meet. So a lot of hats, but not very many places to put it.
Okay.
And you have to have a GA administrator.
I'm sorry,
You
what?
have to have a GA administrator. A very technical position.
Okay.
Norma?
She also has a lot of resources that don't show up here. She may have someone who really doesn't quite qualify for general assistance. She can help them through programs such as Salvation Army or even the food bank, or items that no don't show here, but she's able to get them to help. So she does a lot more for the people in the town than $12,000.
Yeah, she's a great resource, Theo, that folks can go and they can come to her and then she can find other things for them to help them out. It's been a wonderful thing
That's
for
really
us.
an excellent point because it shows like, we're not spending the money, but we're getting the aid to people.
Yes, yep.
Okay, without hitting the taxpayer. Okay, good. Thank you.
So when I look at the expenses, we're at 2,085. I would have thought that with everything that's going on, that would be a heck of a lot higher than that.
Well, again, I think Velma makes that point, is that she's able to tag those resources out there that are really paying for some of these costs that normally may have been processed through our direct aid if we needed to. So that's been very, very helpful. I know that during the holiday season, both in Thanksgiving and Christmas, that the donations that come into this community to take care of the needy is just unbelievable. And she coordinates those packages and those baskets going out to those folks. And in fact, she does a lot of those things even when folks, it's not the holidays and they need that help. So it's been very wonderful.
I would guess too, Dan, that a large portion of that is rental assistance. And there's a whole bunch of other programs now that people are utilizing for rental assistance that they're not coming to the town. There's Main State Housing's got a program, the feds have had a program, so I think everybody's utilizing those.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I just, it needs to be there, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
But, when I look at the year before, we had 12,000, we only spent $4,600. And is it because of all these other resources that she has, that you don't need 12,000 anymore, maybe that can
Right.
back off a little bit?
Right, I've had that discussion with her. I mean, when I first got here, that direct aid amount was pretty significant, and we've continued to whittle it down a little bit to a more manageable or justifiable number. When I talked this year, we felt that we should just leave it at 12 and see how that, because of COVID, we didn't know what was going to happen. And we figured we just leave it the way it is at this point, and we can make adjustments in the following budget cycle.
I can speak on behalf of COS, which is Community Outreach Services.
I'm
Can
sorry.
you guys hear me?
Gotta get Michelle.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So I can speak from working with her with Community Outreach Services that she uses us a lot in partnership with the town. So we supply food sometimes, but she sends us the families. So we always use the GA as a vetting option for us, because otherwise anybody can come in and get food or whatever. And we like to keep it to the 3 towns. So Wendy is an amazing resource for us and has been, and just, I mean, she's of the 3 GAs, she's the easiest and best to work with.
Thank you.
Did we have a motion to approve this?
Nope.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve 1801, tentatively approve 1801 for $94,682. Second.
Okay, we got a motion made for 1801 general assistance for 94,682. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Recognize Jen.
Michelle?
Yep, I see, Michelle. Thank you.
We got you. All
You
right.
only want to hear my voice so much, Sean, I promise.
Well, at least you're attending the meeting.
Funny.
Okay. So that one out of the way, we will kind of backtrack to 1701, transfer and recycling.
Yes, Roger's here to lend a hand as we go through this budget. Right now, we're proposing $115,998, which includes our, I think we're in year 3 of a 5-year agreement with Casella to provide waste disposal and recycling disposal services for the town 2 days a week. That in the contract, it's built in to adjust that 3% yearly as we go through the process. So the number of 89,713 actually shows what our cost will be to them. In terms of building maintenance, I just try to keep a number there, and I generally take it from Roger as to what that number actually needs to be. And then the DEP landfill remediation program is actually the activities that are done by St. Germain Services for us. It used to be MAI, and MAI sold to St. Germain, and they provide us landfill reporting, testing, as well as they continue to monitor now 4 households that were required by DEP approval to continue to monitor water systems and the water quality within those houses. So the number that reflects there takes care of that testing, to those facilities, the testing to the landfills, the reporting to the landfills, and then finally, it also includes our hazardous waste day that we coordinate with Kennebunk Port, Wells, Arundel. We have that day, I think it's in October, always a holiday weekend, but that in October where folks from town can bring their materials over there. So it includes that. And then finally, we had the compactor and equipment. And I believe at your last meeting, Roger talked a little bit about compactor number 2 having some issues. And at the time, he threw out a number of around 15K. So I built that into the budget at this point. And I'm sure he's got more definitive things that we may want to discuss.
Again, that 15,000 actually covered a refurbished compactor, not necessarily a new one. According to the guys from Pine Tree, if you was to go with the refurbished one, it is all but a brand new one. That's as far as operating and everything. So that wouldn't be a bad option. I think we'll need a little bit more because the refurbished unit is 10,000. A phase converter setup is 5,000. That's single phase power up there. And what we've been doing is running phase converters to bump it up so you can run a 3-phase motor, which lasts 3 times longer than the single phase ones. That was always a problem with the 10-horse electric motors, the way they start on single phase. They go through capacitors quite often, so that phase converter thing is really the way to go. Those things do fail as well, and when they do, they're about $5,000. So there was a few other things. The man door, entry door needs to be replaced. We've still got some money left. It shows as an expense on here, and actually I show it as that 3951 is an unexpended balance under maintenance, buildings maintenance right now. So some of the things that it needs, we could fix out of the current budget. The rear door is starting to come apart over the loading dock. That door alone is in excess of $4,000. So you're close. They think we're cutting it a little bit close because we haven't figured anything in for the actual electrical service. The last time the is come in and frankly, up the numbers for what their services were, and they would have to do it again if you put another phase converter in. So I think you're cutting it a little close to the cuff as far as the overall.
So you think we should add a little bit more under building maintenance to cover those costs?
Under maintenance, if you bumped it up a couple of thousand, I think you'd be safe.
So you go from 4 to 6?
That would cover any electrical contractor's costs. as well as replacing that back door.
Roger, what about, you talked about moving one of the bins over to the side of the wall, is that covered here? Or is
There's
that-
nothing in here about that, because there's not a good plan to do that. We still don't know, and you'll need some engineering to find out if that will meet setbacks for the proposed area. If you know where the chip pile is currently, that's the only decent place we would have to do something to move 2 containers there and either have bin blocks for a wall and a circular drive in and out so they can access those to pull them out. People would then be able to back up to those and unload their demo. The way it is now, the traffic situation up there, as most of you know, is not good. The reason you need a new man door is because somebody backed into it when it was propped open one day in the summertime. It's hot. Doors propped open, somebody backed right into it. It is what it is, they say. So we went up and straightened the door out some, and it's been usable since, but
Excuse me, Roger, would the insurance help cover any of that when that happens?
it's $1,000 deductible.
So, as far as the demo, we got no money anywhere.
Well, we have it, Roger and I talked a little bit about this probably a couple months ago now, that we were hoping that we'd be able to get engineering to come and take a look at that. And I think that we had thought about one and they didn't do it. So we had to reach out to somebody else, which hasn't been done yet. So I think we can get that done here fairly quickly. And then maybe engineering can provide a cost estimate for us to perhaps do that, if in fact it can be done there. He's bringing up a question on setbacks, so we may have to have some sort of survey work done there to ensure that we're out of that wetland there as well. Because I think we went up and looked at it one time. We thought there was some wetland behind there that we needed to address.
Remember, we talked a little bit about maybe looking at, instead of putting it perpendicular to the road, put it parallel to the road to might make it a little bit easier to use some of the banking that's already there.
Yes.
That's what looking at or not.
That is really the only location you have. Everything else out there is solid rock. Directly across from the transfer station where we had talked about, there's ledge shown in multiple places. There's also a power line that runs from the last telephone pole up there to underground, which runs to the tower. You don't want to be drilling blast next to that. And that type of ledge up there, from what we've seen, is pretty solid. So you're not going to go up there with some kind of excavator and a hole ram and break that stuff up. It's pretty good stuff. Sometimes the good stuff breaks better than the others. All depends on what you're in. But that's the only logical spot to put it. That would get the demo away from the building, and then you could change the traffic pattern in front of the building and line it up the way we experimented with for a little while. Demo has been the fly in the ointment.
So we'll continue to work on that and see if we can come up with a number and then bring the number to you folks so you know what we're talking about.
I make a motion that we tentatively approve 1701 for the amount of $117,998.
Jeff, I do have a couple of questions. One is related to the sticker program for rural residents. Is that still alive and well?
It is.
Okay. And are the people at the town?
I was thinking the same thing.
Folks that don't pay any attention.
Supposed to be.
That's really my question.
Right.
Because I have my doubts, and I think there may be a whole lot of vehicles coming in there from outside the road.
Well, it was mandated that those stickers go on the windshield. Everybody I've ever seen go to the front facts, and I've never in my life seen anybody working up there, walk around on the vehicle, see if there's a sticker. So, whatever that sticker program is designed to do, I think it's.
Well, certainly, I think any compliance is really pretty suspect. And never mind the Rundle residents who may not even get a sticker.
Yeah, you know,
Well,
I think that what we're getting from them is a pretty darn good deal, from money wise, you know, I think if we start pushing too hard on things, we might end up seeing the price start to go up pretty high, until such point, that all of a sudden they come back with another thing that says, you know, now they want to charge us a whole lot more. And at that point, I think we gotta stop being real hard to push and say, hey, check stickers, because they don't, they go up there, he does this and throws it in.
well, they're actually losing the money.
Yeah.
You know, and I've had this conversation with them, that they need to ensure that their staff, because they manage it, their staff are checking these stickers and ensuring that it's there. If they're not, and they're allowing just to throw, they could theoretically be losing money, which I think they are. I think that when we reinstituted the sticker activities, the paper bag, you know, and picking up your card and all that kind of stuff, and we started offering it at the office, we saw an increase in revenue that they were, and in fact, they mentioned it to us, that they were getting more revenue than they had ever anticipated. So I think it's been a good thing for them, but I think they're still losing money. And I think when you look at them, I think they know it too. So
There's been a little glimmer of hope the last 2 Wednesdays in a row. They've had a different person there. He actually has a pulse and a brain. And things have been going pretty smooth. It's not always the case. It's the luck of the draw who they send that particular day. Saturdays, I can't speak that much for. The only time I see it is on a stormy day, and it's kind of quiet then. But the last 2 Wednesdays have been good. Prior to that, oh boy.
I will offer him, it's just an informal observation, of course. Whenever I go there, and I use them regularly, they always stamp the cards.
Okay.
They do the punching for myself and for everyone else I've seen. And I've been going there forever.
the other thing that we're still working on, and we've asked Casella to provide us a funding quotation on, is curbside pickup. I mean, we had spoken about that on several occasions. I know the board had, and I think on one occasion, even the budget committee had weighed in that we should try to look and see what the number was. We've asked Casella to do that. They haven't given us a number yet, but they did require us to provide to them all the town roads so they could establish a route system. We discussed whether or not they were going to have a fully automated program, as opposed to having a truck with what they call, I guess, slingers on the back, throwing garbage into the truck, which they are, for OSHA standards, which they're trying to get away from. So as I understand, what happens with that type of curbside pickup is that the containers would be purchased by the town, and then people would be able to pick them up here. Now, whether we charge for them or not, I'm not sure. We're not even close to that, but the containers would be purchased by the town. They'd be ours exclusively. Then we'd divvy them up to the residents as to when they need them and how many they need. And then they would be picked up. I think we're looking at one day, right now, they would be looking at one day for trash pickup and another day for recycling pickup. So they would do it on 2 separate days that they would do it. So that's as far as we've gotten at this point. We haven't received any further data. They haven't requested any more data from us right now. So we'll just have to continue to push them. And my hope is to try to get a definitive number by next year, because we'd be coming to the end of December 2023 will be the final year of our contract. And at that point, we probably want to be having some conversations as to where we want to go. And that may reflect on what we do next year's budget time. But the good point that Roger brought up again when we spoke about this was, okay, you're picking up trash and you're picking up recycling. What happens with demo? So we still may have a demo site that's going to need to be open and managed somehow. So these are the things that are up in the air for us at this point.
Okay, currently got motion by Dan for 117,998,
Got a second by Theo.
and second by Theo.
Yep.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of 117,998? All opposed? Michelle.
I saw her name.
Affirmative.
I saw her hand go up.
All right, we're all set on 1701.
Thanks, Raj. Yeah,
Help with a little bit of engineering.
yeah, I got that number two. Plus we got an engineering piece, so.
Yeah.
The other budget, the 1400 series, which includes the civil services, the miscellaneous budget, which includes our social service agencies' request for funding, as well as county tax, is really still up in the air at this point. I was hoping to have more data, but unless John could tell me that what the county tax is going to be. Okay, so, and then if I look at the 1401, the civil services, the ambulance billing, civil emergency prep, I think is going to stay the same. Animal welfare has been adjusted based on the per capita price they're charging us. And I know Jerry's on the line, and what I did is I bumped the PSAP and dispatch to $850 per capita for the population and bumped that number. Jerry, do you know if they've given us any better number than the one that I've proposed right now?
I have not heard anything as of yet.
Okay, thanks. So last year was 825, and they said they were going to go up in 25-cent increments the last time I knew, so I put 850 in there. So that's where I am at this point, but it's not etched in stone quite yet. Whatever we do with this, I mean, we're doing tentative agreements. You can tentatively, but I'm not very solid on the civil service one at this point.
And what would change besides that? Besides the PSAP?
I think that would be it.
Yeah.
I think animal welfare is set. Ambulance billing is set. Yeah, that would be the only one.
How are we doing with recuperating the ambulance billing?
Well, Jerry would know better than I, but I believe that the relationship we have now with the present vendor is far better than we've had in the past. Jerry, do you want to weigh in on that at all?
We've been doing great. This has been a slow year, obviously, because of COVID. I just got a report yesterday from Sean, and its total income this year, as far as our numbers go, is $93,867. And that's starting from July 1st.
So that's all I have with that one. So if you want to tentatively approve it, I suppose we can.
Even if that went up to $9 per capita, that would just add a couple grand.
Correct.
Which could be covered else by funds from other portions of the budget.
It could, Jack. And right now what we're doing is we're tentatively approving everything. Once we get the package together, John and I will crunch some numbers, and then we can have a real serious discussion of where the budget's really going to be.
I'll make a motion, we tentatively approve 1401. for the amount of 50,279.
Second.
Motion made and seconded for 50,279 on 1401 civil services. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? We got you, Michelle. Thank you. And no opposition? All right. 1403 miscellaneous.
Right, I've heard from Eastern Trail and the Chamber, both for the Eastern Trail dues and the Eastern Trail maintenance. We've left at 3,000. Obviously, Roger will tell me if I needed more than that. But we've sort of made it work. Now, whether or not it's to a benefit to us, it's still taxpayer dollars money, so I guess it doesn't matter which way it comes out, but we've left it at 3. I have not heard from the Kennebunk Free Library yet, so I can't firm that one up. And the social services, community outreach did provide me a number, I believe it was 2,500, that I do not have on this list right now. That just came in. But I haven't heard from Maine Behavioral Health Care or Kids Free to Grow yet, which is one that we've had in the past. So I prefer just to wait on those. When they do come in, then we can just sort of propose those and we can finalize that. And obviously the 1404, the contingency, we've continued to keep it at $10,000 as we have in the past.
So I'll make a motion that we tentatively approve 1404 contingency for 10,000.
Second.
Motion made, seconded for $10,000 on 1404 contingency. All those in favor? Everyone, including Michelle. Thank you.
I do have a question on that, though.
Good.
So what looks like last year we budgeted 10,000 and we ended up spending 13,000 on?
Well, that may be the unaudited number. I'll get you the audited number.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious as to what we've been spending, we have it in there, what have we been using it for, what have we been?
I'll have to pull that number for you in the sheet. That's all I have for tonight.
So basically, we just have 1403 left.
We need to go back to 1403. I also want to present the anticipated revenue at your next meeting. And then with everything that we've already done and with some speculation, I can give John some additional numbers, and I think we can get pretty close to beginning to hammer out what the overall budget may be.
I was looking at doing my usual $300,000 out of the fund balance this year.
I'm anticipating that, based on what we've seen, there was a lot of speculation that COVID was going to have this drastic impact on functions that this municipality was doing. I haven't really seen it. I think our revenues are pretty much in line with what we anticipated. We may not have as much in anticipated that projected. Was very conservative in the projection. So I think I'm pretty confident that 300 still may be a realistic goal for us. The only place that I'm really concerned about right now in this year's operating budget is when we made the transfer from the old building to the new building, there's some additional costs that we hadn't anticipated. So I'm looking at those numbers, which may be very close or maybe even the deficit. So I'm hoping that our 5% that we've done in the past will cover those costs, but we'll continue to monitor that as we move through this budget cycle. So those are just my general concerns and observations at this point.
Yeah, you bumped up the building maintenance that you bumped up on 1203 was money that you think you might have to spend.
Right. Plus, I had a little bit, I've spent a little more money this year when we made the transition here. We put one of the customer service reps on a little sooner than we thought we were going to, because we wanted to get training done and get them ready to go. So there may be a little bit more expense there than we had initially put in the budget. So got to look at that and see where we are. But I'm not nervous yet. John is, but I'm not.
We haven't heard anything yet on valuation.
On the overall valuation? No. When I did my projections, I did a quick projection and sent it to John last week. I'm looking at $10 million as opposed to 7. I think I'm still short.
I thought I was being very conservative.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the real estate market is going crazy. I'm sure some of you contractors, and obviously Tom probably are aware of it. I mean, it's just, for what houses are selling for in Arundel, would scare you.
just a suggestion, Keith. Whenever we take a building permit application, there is an estimated cost of what the construction cost is going to be on that building. Is there no way that we can keep a list of those so that we've got just a ballpark idea of what we might be looking at from year to year, and the way the valuation increases?
Yeah, now that we have some support staff in there, that may be something that she can pull together very easily. Because, correct me if I'm not wrong, but oftentimes the permit is based on some sort of fixture value within the property as well. So that, we may have some numbers there that we can look at.
Isn't there a lag of about a year though from when the occupancy permit is issued to the time that it actually gets on the books and is taxed?
Not necessarily. There's a lag in the state calculations by a year. So when the state, so for school funding and all those kinds of things, they're a year behind. They'll come in October and do an analysis of all our new permits and then come up with a value, and they'll project that value to us. But they're a year behind our calculations at that time.
But if a home has an occupancy permit, say in October, does the full year's value get recorded or just 3 months worth?
It's, if I can explain,
Sure.
it's whatever, the assessments go by whatever's there April 1st.
April 1st.
So in other words, if someone is building a house, and they've got the foundation, and the assessor will bill for the land, the foundation, the septic maybe, and well and stuff, but if they finish the house in October and occupy it, or get an occupancy permit in October, they only still go by whatever's there April 1st, because that's the cutoff date. And then the rest of the building, the full value will apply the next year after the next April 1st.
I see. So there is some level of lag.
Yeah, yeah. And Ann might have some of the information. I know in the town report book, we put the value of permits, how many permits, and I think the value of the permits, but I don't know if that's anywhere near where the assessed
Right.
values are, or
Yep.
anything like that. They
Generally
probably
not
are.
right, you want to keep the cost down.
Yeah.
How are we looking for the cottages? I haven't followed that, but
I know that they're still constructing. I think we had a Grondon had just put in for more expansion, another road going in.
Another complete room.
Yep, another complete road being constructed, so they're continuing to move on with that project. I think they had, the last time I knew, they had 85 or 84, 85 residencies that were already built. So, and they're anticipating 250 to 280 now? I think they came back with some more, so they've got a long way to go before that's all.
Maybe I can help in that regard. I just started working on a mail list for Conservation Trust, and I took a quick look at identifying what properties came online in 2020 that are part of that association. And I only came up with 10, which it didn't surprise me in that, sales during this past year have to have been, I think, a lot slower, because I just don't think a lot of people are coming up here and looking. But I couldn't, I'm still early on. I think it's already been fairly limited for 2020. I would hope for much better once the summer gets underway here and people start coming back here. It certainly helps our valuation.
It does.
Yeah, the average price was in the high, around 280, I think.
Yeah, from a real estate point of view, Jack, you're right. I guess maybe only because we got a later start into 2020 than normal, because everybody was scared. But in terms of people not coming up here, that's absolutely not the truth. There are tons of people that are ready to buy. There's just nothing on the market.
Yeah.
So as soon as it comes on, it's going to sell for whatever they list it for. So if you're ready to sell, let me know.
It's about 20 grand over listing, isn't it, Michelle?
I guess one question I have is in planning for the future. I know the last few years our assessment ratio has been going down. I can't remember, was it 70%?
No, it was 88%.
Last year?
Yeah.
Is that something that maybe we should start looking at as far as budgeting for a reval, and maybe 5 years from now or something? Because like if the sales are going to continue going sky high, is it going to be?
See, I continue to monitor that, and I talk with Beth periodically on that, our sales ratio and where we are. And right now, I'm not a big advocate for doing a full-blown reval again. I think a lot of our data is probably pretty accurate, and I think it's getting more accurate as the building inspector and the assessor are looking at these properties, and when the permits come in. I'm more of an advocate of, we may want to do a statistical update based on that, which would be significantly less than trying to do a full-blown reval. We're also bringing that new software program on for the assessor now, where we can do the overlays, and they're going to be doing a complete analysis of our buildings once again, taking new photographs, putting that into the program, and then the program will have those wetland delineation overlays, surveys, whatever we get, that we'll be able to lay that onto the maps as well, and have that available not only to staff but also to folks who want to see that stuff online. So I'm very nervous about the reval yet. I'm not ready to commit to that, but I'm aware of it. So I know when you were here employed, we had these discussions too, that we were very concerned to make sure we.
In the past, it tended to go on almost like a 10-year cycle.
Correct.
And it's been well over that. Our last one was in 1990, and
right.
People sometimes are intimidated by it, but in the long run too, you have a lot of people that their values might come up to more what the sales are, but at the same time, the tax rate plummets, and equalizes it out.
I think if we saw a consistent drop that we were getting closer into the 70s, then I would start thinking about, right now, we were 90, and then this year we're 88. So I don't know where that's going to be this
Is there a
upcoming.
threshold that legally we have to do it?
It's 70. It's 70%, yeah. And then the state will come in and tell you to do it. And I really don't want to get there. I'd rather be prepared for it as opposed to having the state tell us to do it.
Who does that calculation? to come up with it?
The main revenue service. Yeah, they look at our sales analysis, come in and determine based on land sales, commercial sales, condominium sales, residential sales, they come up with a sales ratio based on that.
Okay. Dan?
We're meeting another 2 weeks.
So that would be the 17th.
Is that what it is? As long as it ain't St. Patrick's Day.
It is St. Patrick's.
Oh, boy, that's all right. I'll be here.
Just bring green beer.
Yeah.
Or we change it to the 16th.
No. I've grown up a lot more. I don't need to be out on St. Patrick's Day.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn at 8:02 PM.
That's a hell of an idea, Dan.
Thank you,
Motion made,
folks.
Seconded, adjourn for this evening. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, guys. I'll be there in person next time.
Okay.
Lucky you.
Just a quick comment, that, there's been discussion about what to do with the old town hall. A couple of weeks ago, I drove by about 9:30 on a Wednesday night,